The philosopher David Hume, among other things, is remembered for an important essay he wrote regarding miracles. He took the position that miracles were not a proper thing to believe in or affirm for this reason. And I would be comfortable with this, he defined miracles as a violation of the laws of nature. And then he asked the question about a specific instance that may or may not be a miracle, which is more likely, that a miracle occurred or that some other explanation is the answer for this unknown event. And he took the position that every single time the answer is going to be the latter. It's far more likely, Hume would argue, that the hundreds of people who witnessed the resurrected Jesus all collectively had some sort of mass psychosis than it is that a man should be raised from the dead, for this simple reason. Mass psychosis is as rare as it may be, supposedly a verifiable historical reality. It's happened before. And we can't look at the question of resurrection in light of the resurrection. You've got to take that out of the equation then and ask, has it ever happened before? And if there are, out of, a cajillion moments, there have been 7 moments when there was mass hysteria, and a cajillion moments and no resurrections, then mass hysteria wins that battle, and therefore Jesus must not have been raised from the dead. That's a very common argument, but it is built on, as is so often the case, an unspoken and, in fact, untrue premise. It's built on the premise that miracles can't happen. That is, it's a conclusion that's already found in its premises, because it assumes the extreme unlikelihood of miracles. It excludes the possibility, in doing the math, of a transcendent God who can act in space and time. But if such a being exists, then all of a sudden miracles are not quite as shocking. If there is someone who transcends the laws of nature, who can suspend them at will, then it's certainly possible that such events could have happened. And in fact, I would argue, if they did happen, they would be evidence of the imprimatur of this transcendent God. That is, they would show the favor of God on the one who's doing this, so that they are then in a position to speak authoritatively for God, which is precisely how the Bible argues. The Bible doesn't say, look at this miracle, there must be a God. If that's what the Bible argued, or if any sound Christian argued, then Hume might have a point. But it's not that we argue from miracles to God's existence, but that we argue from God's existence to the possibility of miracles. It's the other way around. God proves the miracles don't prove God. That is, we look at the existence of the world. This is how Romans 1 does it, and we notice that the world requires an explanation. It must have a sufficient cause, because every effect must have a sufficient cause. And that sufficient cause must transcend the thing caused. It must be a higher order of being than the whole of the universe. And if there is such a being, and there must be, then of course that being could intervene. No problem. And now all of a sudden the odds slide in the other direction. Hume, which is what happens so often, Hume hid a part of the equation. He snuck in his Trojan horse of an argument, something that is just flat not true. He assumed the question at hand. He's assumed that God did not exist. Well, God does exist. And because God exists, and because God acts in space and time, we can be confident that miracles have happened.